Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we talk about selection and use of course book materials. Okay, so course book materials are all the materials in a course book package that we use in the classroom to present and practice language and to develop learners' language skills. A course book package usually includes a student's book, a teacher's book, well, here they are, right? And an audio or video recordings. The teacher's book often includes the tape script, like the words that your learners will hear in these recordings. Often there is also a workbook or an activity book, that is the book that contains some extra practice material, right? And there may also be like a CD-ROM or some digital resources, like online resources, for example, extra material on a website. Okay, teachers often base their selection of teaching materials like a course book or any supplementary materials on a needs analysis. That is a study of learners' level, language needs and interests, using different questionnaires, interviews, or what's important, a diagnostic test, right? Well, this information helps to build up a class profile, a description of all the learners in the class, and shows what they have in common and how they differ from each other. The teacher's task is then to select the material that best matches this profile, right? Okay, how do we select teaching materials? So what questions should we ask when selecting teaching materials? Quite often we may not be able to choose our course book. We are just given a course book, but we can still make choices about what materials you need to use. And decisions about whether and how to use the course book or part of it will depend on the answers to a number of questions, right? So let's look at these questions. I will just divide them into sort of categories. So first category is the look. So is the material visually attractive? Is it visually clear? Like, for example, uses different colors, different fonts, headings, etc. Does the visual material help learners to understand context and meaning? Logics. Is it well organized? Can you and your learners follow the logics of the material and find your way around the page, or do you need it quickly and easy? Like, is its interface user friendly, so to say? The context, the cultural context. Is it culturally appropriate? Will the context that is being discussed within these course books be familiar to learners? The learners themselves, right? Like, is it suitable for your learners' age and their needs and interests? Well, the themes mentioned, will the topics be motivating to suit the age, the gender, the experience, and personal interests of your learners? The level, of course, so is it at the right level? Does it provide a clear enough context and explanations for learners to understand new language? And practice. So does it give learners enough opportunities to use the language? So does it have enough exercises, enough, open type activities? Okay. If the answer to any of these questions is no, then we actually have two choices. Well, either to replace the course book material with materials with the same focus or aim from another book or resource, such as teacher's website or supplementary materials, or adapt the course book material, that is to change it in some way to make it suitable for our learners, right? Okay, and now I'm going to focus on adaptation. So there are a number of ways to adapt material that is not suitable for a particular teaching situation. So here I'm going to kind of group these ideas. Well, the problems are the task or exercise is too short. Learners need more practice. You feel that? So the strategy is just to extend the material that you have, and you just write yourself some extra items following the same pattern that is given in the book. Well, another pack of problems, the task or exercise is too long, or the learners don't need so much practice. Well, obviously you need to shorten the material, and what you can do, just use as much as you need and don't go on, like don't feel you need to use it all. You can stop at some point And you can give different parts of the text or task to different learners, and then you can check it all together, or you can check it individually, thus breaking the material up into pieces and attributing those pieces to students. Well, another pack of problems: the task doesn't suit the learner's learning style, or you want to change a pace, or the course book often repeats the same kind of task. So all these problems address like changing of the form of the tasks rather than content, right? And the possible solution is just to change the interaction pattern. Like if your students were doing single, like individual work, make it a pair work or a group work or a mingle, or try to turn it into a task-based learning, like make a project out of it. The texts or tasks are too easy or too difficult. So the problem here is with the level, changing the level of the material. And you just make the material more or less challenging. That's easy to say than easier said than done, right? For example, if you have a text or a listening and you have some comprehension questions, can you ask your students to do the comprehension questions before they listen and read? Like predicting what they're supposed to be hearing, thus making this exercise more challenging for them. The activities in the unit in the book always follow the same sequence. The learners need to learn or practice things in a different order. So here we address the order of the material, right? And the solution is just, changing the order of the material. But be careful, we'll talk about it later. There is not enough practice material in the unit. The learners need to revise particular items, and you want to preview material in a future unit. Making use of all the resources in the book. So how do we do that? You can use either some extra material that is attached to the teacher's book, for example, or you can give your students whole book tasks. So what do I mean by this? Like searching through the whole book of text. So for text, for pictures, for some language examples, kind of flicking through the book in order to carry out some activity. Sometimes some course books have such activities before before the beginning of the book, like can you find any famous sportsman in this book, and the students go looking through the whole book, or okay, let's find the section that is devoted to present continuous and read that. Yeah, so you are using this course book not as a book, but like a link or a pack of resources. Okay, some tips that you should consider when you are adapting your material, right? There may be good reasons for leaving out, part of a unit or even a whole unit, but remember that the course book is one of the main sources of learning and revision for your learners. So if you just keep doing it too often, you may confuse your students. The course book will normally provide a main content for a lesson, while material that needs to be more personalized for learners will probably come from the teacher or from the learners themselves. So when planning lessons, think about what the course book gives you and what you need to add. For example, like the course book provides you with the situation or the context, but maybe you will need to provide some warmer for this situation. Or the course book provides you with pictures, but you will need to give some instructions to your students connected to those pictures. The course book provides you with a dialogue, like the conversations, right, and the texts, and you need to provide your students with a role play based on this dialogue. You can find some tasks and exercises in the course book, but you might need to think of some homework tasks yourself, right? Okay. If we plan to reorder the material in the course book to change the position of the activities, we must make sure that this is possible. That is, like a task or exercise doesn't depend on the previous one, because very often the tasks are interconnected, so be careful. We can change the order of activities in the course book in order to introduce a variety in one of the following areas, like a different pace, a various interaction pattern, various sequence of skill practice, like listening, reading, speaking, writing, level of difficulty, content, and mood, right, etc. And we should think about how to make material more attractive and interesting for learners, and how to bring material off the page. You can use some mime pictures, you know, you can bring some real objects to your class. Like if you learn food, okay, bring food. If you learn clothes, just bring clothes to your class, or use the whole classroom environment as a realia, right? Okay, now let's get some more practice. Only for teachers. Select a unit from your course book that you haven't used yet and answer the questions from the beginning of this lecture. So you have to wind back. Section is how do we select teaching materials, right? And once you have done that, so how will you need to adapt the material? Please leave your answers here. Thank you. So your ideas. How much do you agree with this and why? 1. I plan my lessons to respond to my learners' needs, so I never use a course book. Is it good or bad, and why? I always plan my lessons following the suggestions in the teacher's book. So is it a good idea? Why? Why not? I use all the material in every unit in the order given in the book. Is it a good strategy? Why? Why not? I use a course book, but I change most of it so that learners don't get bored. I've got a good course book and I haven't got time to adapt any of it. Likely situation? Is it good? Thank you. Good. Now time for teacher's knowledge test. Okay, we will have 7 questions and then, well, okay, we need to match the course book instructions with the activity aims that they have. Like this is an instruction. Look quickly through the text and choose the picture that matches the situation. What aims what aim are we trying to meet by this instruction? And it is reading for gist, of course. 2. Complete the sentences below using one of the following modal verbs. So what aim are we going to meet here? And that is accurate use of specific structure. In this case, modal verbs. Play the track again and answer true-false questions. Okay, what for? Listening for detailed information, right? Underline all the pronouns and draw arrows to show all nouns they refer to. You know, it's kind of text work. Yes, and I hope you're right. Finding connections in text. Choose the words that go together. So we are finding collocations here. In groups of 3, discuss the problem and decide on the best solution. So what do we practice here? Oral fluency practice, of course. Look at the photos and decide who you think is speaking. That is listening for gist, right? Well, thank you very much. Take care and make sure you have some good time. Enjoy the weather. Cheers.